Something that's been on my mind a lot recently is that when you're truly pursuing your purpose, you don't have time for leisure activities. I always heard like wealthy people or whatever talk about like not watching Netflix for a period of time, or like not having fun and saying no to certain people and chasing their dream and getting after it and turning off everything that was a distraction to their main goal. And I always was like, oh, there's definitely a way that you can do both. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be a way where you can watch an hour of Netflix a night and hang out with friends and still do play video games, still do stuff that like your lesser self would do, and still have time to pursue your purpose. And what I realized is that it's not about having the time. It's not about like being able to do everything. It's about how much can you eliminate so that way you can replace with more of chasing your purpose. So for example, over the last, I want to say since September 1st, my wife and I, we started like a book of the month club thing that we do. We like read the same book or whatever. But outside of that, I've read 3 or 4 books over the last month, and I also cut out a lot of other stuff that was distracting me as well. And there's absolutely no way that I could work, have time for family, have quality time with my wife, keep all the distractions, read my Bible, and read another book on top of that. Like, it's just not, there's not enough hours in the day. Like, I could, but then it would be like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, and work out on top of all that stuff. Like, stay healthy, stay fit. And so what you end up doing is you end up like just getting rid of it, because there's always more that you can learn. And I remember hearing like guys like Warren Buffett or Donald Trump and some of these, you know, multi-billionaires talk about how they read a book a day, or some of these guys read, you know, multiple books a week, and like all this crazy stuff. And it simply comes down to they don't have distractions stopping them from learning, from reading, from becoming a better version of themselves. On top of that, they're okay with pursuing a new identity all the time, because it's not necessarily about taking that leftover time and grinding out more phone calls, sending more text messages, you know, creating more content. That's not the secret. The secret is becoming a new character all the time, becoming a better version of yourself all the time. And that's what they're chasing. And it took, I don't know why it took so long to realize that, but I'm finally at a place where I don't necessarily care for entertainment. I don't necessarily care to watch, you know, anything on TV. If I do, I'll watch like social media highlights of the full thing. Like, I have one of my guilty pleasures right now is WWE. Don't know why. I haven't watched WWE in like a decade, but for whatever reason, since like April, I've been interested in it. And from, I want to say, July through August, I would watch like the full episode or like the full live event or whatever, and it's like, you know, it's like 2 to 3 hours long. And I was like, man, I'm wasting a lot of time watching this, but I want to watch it. And so I found other ways to watch it. So like I would go on like TikTok, and there's this guy who like cuts it up into these little pieces where it's like a minute here, 2 minutes here, a minute here. So you end up watching the whole episode in like 10 minutes, which, you know, is awesome. It's not an hour, and it's not, you know, 0 minutes, but I still get the entertainment. But the people at the highest levels just are more extreme about everything. And that's the difference. They completely eliminate that 10 minutes, right? They completely eliminate the time they spend on social media. They completely eliminate the time spent doing content creation or making sales calls or building a business. They spend all that time developing themselves so that way that they can chase their purpose. I believe that every person has a purpose. They just haven't become the person yet to fulfill the purpose that was given to them. And that takes time. It takes conscious effort. But ultimately, it takes eliminating distractions, right? Everyone wants to be successful, but no one wants to stop watching the NBA. Everyone wants to be successful, but no one wants to stop watching Netflix. Everyone wants to be successful, but everyone also wants to party and go hang out with their friends and do all this stuff. And it's so crazy because these are the same people that would be mad if their favorite basketball player spent all their time going to parties and not staying in the gym, right? Could you imagine if LeBron James decided to stop working out and just started going to the gym? Obviously, you'd see his decline, but at the same time, you'd be pissed. You'd be like, well, you're sucking because of this. Like, if you stop doing this and you start playing basketball again, you become the best again, right? Well, it's the same thing in your life. If you stop doing X and spend that time doing what you're supposed to do, you'll become the person that you're meant to become. As long as you fill that time with things that are bringing you closer to your goal versus further away, right? We have to stop negotiating with our lesser self. We have to stop. There comes a point where you realize that you're capable of being more. At that point, if you don't become more, you've chosen to stay the same. It's no longer someone else's fault. It's no longer by circumstance. It's no longer, a happenstance that you're not successful. At that point, you've chosen not to become successful. There's enough books, there's enough podcasts, there's enough audios to where you can simply learn how to become successful and learn how to change your mind and learn how to become the person you need to become to do anything in life at this point. If you want to learn how to do YouTube, just type in how to start a YouTube channel. If you want to learn how to become an investor, YouTube, how to become there's just so many different things you can do. If you don't have access to internet for whatever reason, there's a Barnes and Noble down the street. There's literally a section of investment books, of self-help books, of personal finance books, of business building books, of this type of book, of that type of book, to where you can simply learn how to do anything. I truly believe that more people would become more successful if people actually became the architect of their own life. When's the last time that you sat down and said, this is exactly what I want in my life? Here's everything I want. Here's everything I don't want. And here's where I want to end up. This is my destination. It's hard to fulfill a purpose that wasn't defined in the first place. It's actually impossible. How can you achieve something you never set out to do? How can you go on a vacation to a place you never actually wanted to go to? Like, if I came to you right now and said, okay, I have 50 grand, let's go on vacation. You'd probably give me a place you want to go. Awesome. In which you should. You'd also probably tell me when you'd want to go. You'd have a deadline on how we get there. Obviously, we couldn't walk because that would take too long. We'd have to probably fly or drive depending on where the location was. And based on the time that you had. How stupid would it be to say, let's go on vacation and never set a destination? Even more, how stupid would it be to set a destination and not think about what to do in that location? You set up a destination for Hawaii and then you bring snowmobile stuff. Like it's stupid, right? Success is no different. If your goal is to become an online coach, an investor, a business owner, you're not going to learn that stuff on Netflix. Like, set a destination and then figure out what you need to become successful at that destination. Set a place for vacation and then figure out what you need for that vacation to have the best the best vacation possible, right? Even in Hawaii, if you have snowmobile stuff, you're probably gonna have a miserable time, and vice versa. If you go to Alaska and all you brought was beach shorts, you're probably gonna have a terrible time. Well, if you plan on being a business owner and all you've done for your whole life is watch Netflix, you're probably gonna have a really hard time running a business. And vice versa. If you spent your whole life trying to be a business owner or learning how to be a business owner, but you spend all your time watching Netflix, you become depressed because you know what you should be doing. You know you should be over here doing other things, yet you're spending your time wasting it. The goal isn't to be busy. The goal isn't to be productive. The goal is to become more, and then all the other stuff will fix itself. When you become more, you learn how to be productive. When you become more, you become less busy because you hire people and you build systems. But if you don't become more, you don't know how to build systems and you don't know how to hire. And if you do hire, you hire the wrong people and you get bad systems. So you become more, and then everything else will fix itself around you. And that starts with reading books. That starts with cutting out distractions. That starts with prioritizing personal development, getting around the right people, getting away from the wrong people. I've been really looking into the law of attraction and all that stuff recently, and I totally understand it at a different level now. Growing up, I've always heard it was like, speak what you are and then you'll eventually get it. And I believed it to an extent, but it was always a little weird. However, recently I've been looking into it and learning about it from a different lens. And I may butcher this, but because it's my first time teaching it, but I understand how it works. It's all about frequency, right? When you want to become, put it this way. When you listen to the radio, if your goal is to listen to God's Plan by Drake, for example, you have options, right? You can turn on the radio, and let's say there's no iPods and all that crap. Like, you have to listen to it on the radio in your car. You have to go through the stations. There's only so many stations that you can put it on to hear that song, right? Chances are, if you put it on a gospel station, you're probably not going to hear God's Plan. If you put it on a country station, you're not going to hear God's Plan. If you put it on a pop station, you're not going to hear God's Plan. You can only put it on a handful of stations or frequencies to transmute God's plan into your car. Success is the same way. If you are looking to become something, you have to position yourself in ways that will eventually lead to the thing that you're looking for. So again, if you want to become an investor, the best thing to do is surround yourself around other investors and investing tips, books, audios, things that would lead to you potentially investing one day, right? If you want to say you want to be an investor and you keep watching Netflix, well, chances are you're on the wrong channel, like literally on the wrong channel. And the only thing that you can do is change the channel or give up, because again, God's plan is never going to come on the Christian worship radio station. It's just not going to happen. Simple as that. You can try it, but you had an idea, which is listen to God's plan. You had a burning desire to listen to God's plan. You're like, I want to listen to this song so bad, my favorite song in the universe. Your plan, you're putting it in motion, which is turn on the radio. It's just you're turning it to the wrong freaking frequency. That's it. Everything has frequencies and energy and, you know, all that crap. And you have to line yourself up in the right positions to then attract what you want in life. But in order to attract, you have to first become. So that's why you don't have enough time to spend it all entertaining yourself and having leisure and all that crap. You have to spend your time becoming, because when you become, you no longer have to chase. And when you no longer have to chase, you can just attract. And when you can attract, then you can become more and more and more and more, and you can really live out the life that God has planned for you, and then ultimately you want to live anyway. So at this point, I think I'm beating a dead horse if I keep going, but hope that helps. Hope you got a lot out of this video, and if that didn't make sense to you, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Love to talk about it, love to chat about it, love to help you out if you need help. Yeah, so catch you guys on the next one. Peace.